Well, the situation of the bike lanes is that we undertook a pilot, and the whole objective of the pilot was to review what the public thought of bike lanes, and I think a number of mistakes were made, but at the same time the bike lanes that have proved acceptable are those that don't affect traffic, particularly at intersections. And Council has made a number of amendments, but also in the last survey we found that off-road composite trails, multi-purpose trails, appear to be the favored form of accommodating both cyclists and pedestrians, but they have to be of sufficient width to really accommodate all users. I think the issue of debt has really been somewhat confused. The fact is that the city has a debt which is certainly reasonable in comparison with what it has been historically. In fact, we have less debt per capita in real terms than we had in 1982. But today the debt is predominantly, the majority of the debt is towards our utility infrastructure, particularly the expansion of our water and wastewater treatment plants and some of the facilities of the yards relating to our services. So in that respect, they're an intergenerational project, and almost every economist and every municipal government funds those type of projects with debt so as not to create a huge spike in one's utility rates. And it's like a mortgage. When you look at a mortgage, you spread the cost of that house over time, and you fund it when you have a young family so that the users pay for it over time. And our debt is just the same theoretically as that. We certainly stack up reasonably well in comparison with almost every city in Canada in terms of our debt. We're well within the provincial debt limit, we're 46%, and in terms of our debt servicing, we're way below that. So I think that Council and administration have handled debt responsibly, and to harp on debt without explaining the context or the intergenerational value belies what almost every economist is saying today. All municipalities in Canada have seen increased expenditures to deal particularly with deficits in infrastructure and downloading from other levels of government during the recession. But in addition, comparing municipal spending alone against things like population and growth really doesn't gain the true picture, because provincial and federal governments funnel additional funds through municipal budgets which distort that total. In addition, the type of services and facilities that municipalities operate, particularly in the construction area, concrete, gravel, all those costs during the inflation years increased dramatically, far higher than the general inflation costs. And those are some of the drivers of our municipal expenditures. So you can't look at total expenditure against growth as the CFIB has. You have to begin to analyze that, see what's the flow through funding, what costs have been borne for increased utilities to meet the new federal water and wastewater standards, and really look at the whole picture, and then compare tax rates, which generally also have exceeded inflation, but not by the same degree. Crime is certainly an issue in this community today. But the hopeful factor of that is that with the new policing plan and with the additional resourcing of the RCMP, we are seeing a downward trend. We had a spike in 2011-12, which has certainly shown us with pretty high statistics. The fact is that crime is going down across Canada, however, and that trend is beginning to be reflected here. The fact is that crime stats really relate very much to one's demographics and the growth characteristics of a community. An older community generally has much less crime, and here we are with a young community right on the corridor halfway between Edmonton and Calgary. So demographically speaking, it is communities like us that would have higher crime rates. It's something we need to address. It's something that Council is addressing, and I'm hopeful that the new policing plan and the additional resourcing as well as the new crime prevention strategy will speed up that trend, and that we'll see continuing better statistics over the coming years.